Hey there, today we're going to talk about a really fun topic, free CRTs. And believe it or not, in 2025, there are still a few methods to finding free CRTs, and I'm going to reveal some of those secrets here to you today. Sometimes you're just going to get lucky, and over the last 2 years, I've been able to scoop up 4 free CRTs just sitting on the side of the road in my neighborhood. This little 20-inch composite flat screen TV was just sitting on the side of the road a couple weeks back. I saw it and I just had to grab it. There's this funny sign on the front that says it works. As I said, this thing was just literally sitting on the curb about 8 houses away from me. So I stopped my car in the middle of the night, saw it, and just had to scoop it up and save the little guy. So aside from this one, I've again found 3 others just sitting on the side of the road. Every time that I find them this way, they seem to work fine. So that's one way, is to just go around your town and get lucky on garbage day and find free CRTs. So aside from that, how else can you find free CRTs? Well, one other great place is to start searching in your local area on something like Facebook Marketplace. You can get on Facebook Marketplace and just type in free TVs, CRT TVs, see what pops up, old TVs. Now, most of the time, these TVs are going to be gigantic, 30 plus inches, weigh 300 pounds, and you're going to need to hire an army to come help you extract it from the grandmother's house who hasn't moved the TV in 30 years. But sometimes you can find other things on there and you'd be surprised. You just have to kind of be diligent and keep looking. So poking around Facebook can be great to find free CRTs and free old TVs. Another way is to just let everybody in your life know that you want a CRT. Now me, naturally, I'm the CRT wizard here at Retro Tech, so I get messages a lot from people either referring free listings to me, or sending information or offering free TVs to me. So that happens a lot. If you tell people you're looking for free old TVs, older CRTs, a lot of times somebody will come into your life and offer you one. So today's CRTs were referred to me from my lovely friend Lance on Patreon. He sent me a DM saying, hey, I found these 2 Sony Trinitrons in your area. They're listed for parts. I don't know if they work, but the listing is pretty new. And again, it's in your area, closer to you than me. So I started looking at this listing closer. It's definitely near me. It was only 30 minutes away. And again, these TVs looked pretty darn awesome. So of course, right away, I sent a message to Jeff and I asked him if he still had the TVs, if I could come take a look at them or even get them. I was very serious. I could probably fix them. Unfortunately, Jeff messaged me right back and said, hey, I'm glad you messaged me, but somebody else has already claimed them. But if they fall through, I will let you know. So I waited and was kind of upset that I didn't get to this fast enough. And then to my surprise, a few hours later, Jeff actually hit me back up, said the other guy pulled out of the deal, didn't want to come get him anyway, didn't have the space. So he said I could come get him. And of course, that's what I did. I made an arrangement to go now, right now, jump in the old man's Grand Marquis, and we're going to go over to Jeff's place, and we're going to check out these free CRTs, these 2 Trinitrons that he's offering, and we're going to go save those puppies and get them back here in the shop and take a look at them. So let's go on over on the journey to Jeff's amazing house and see what he's got. All right, we're on our way to Jeff's house out in the country, and thankfully, Jeff, he sounds like a cool guy. He has these CRTs. He does not mind if we film some footage of us going in and checking out the TVs at his house. And he also says he has some Nintendo collectibles that are pretty interesting, and he'd like to show them off. So I said, absolutely, you know, we'll come in, we'll set up and take a look at what you got and really see what's going on with these CRTs. All right, man. So we're here looking at these Sony Trinitrons. I'm here with Jeff, and he's the awesome owner of these. He's got a bunch of other cool TVs, I mean, that he's not giving me that are hanging out over here. We'll look at them in a second, but first off, these are the 2 that we're coming to pick up today, and they're actually 20 inches. I wasn't sure whether they were 20 or 13 inches, but that's cool. I don't even have any of these in this size, but what can you tell me? Can you tell me anything about either one of these?
This one was a Facebook Marketplace pickup, and I think I got it for like $10, $15, something like that, and it was about 20 minutes away. So that was pretty good score. Used it immediately, and probably got, I don't know, maybe like 3 to 6 months out of it. And then there was just one day that like I hit the power button and nothing happened. So it may be a very simple fix. I looked inside for a fuse, but maybe that's not even it. But the power button on this one just stopped turning it on, and so that was kind of the end of that one. Then I rotated another TV into its place. This guy, my father-in-law, basically knew I was into these old TVs, and he had a friend who had a Trinitron, and I kind of put him on the hunt for it because he likes antiquing and stuff like that. I was like, look for Trinitrons. And he had a friend that had it and was willing to give it to me. He had the manual, worked. It's got a great picture. I mean, really good picture. Ran it for about, I don't know, 3 to 6 months again. And then one night, me and a friend were gaming on it, and the picture goes, choo, and like smoke comes up the back. And I was like, we better unplug this thing. So, yeah, that one.
So something smoked on that one.
Yeah. And
okay.
I did open it up. What's at least what is smoking is like a ceramic resistor in there.
Okay.
That may or may not be the actual problem, as you might guess. But
yeah, I'm sure these things like they'll. Oh, that's cool. This one definitely has like video in and out too. That's nice.
It probably had the most clear picture out of any CRT.
Which one is this from? 86 KV-1936RH. Yeah, that's cool. So yeah, it's probably a ceramic resistor that those eventually just break down and can't stand the heat anymore, and the outside coating can just like fry out on it and catch fire, and that's probably what started to happen.
I did recover this. So that was basically the housing around.
Yes, it's those.
Kind of broke off.
I see what you're saying.
And if you plug in, I mean, just immediately as soon as you plug in, this thing glows red hot.
Oh yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, that's right next to the flyback, so that's really high voltage, but that's cool. Yeah, that's fun. That's going to be fun to check out there. So we'll take both of these and see what we can do with them back at the shop.
And then if you want the story on this little guy,
this
one actually works. A friend of mine, he like cleans out properties. That's kind of his side hustle.
That wood grain is beautiful. That color on the side of this one.
And he hit me up. He had two of these, this one and another one. And they were, I mean, they looked like they'd been buried in the backyard. They were dirty. And he's like, do you want them? I was like, yeah, I definitely want them. And then he showed up with just the one. He had, I guess, determined himself the other one was unsalvageable and pitched it, which I wish he gave me a shot at it at least.
Yeah.
But this one cleaned up really good and turns on, works fine. It's pretty cool. I don't actually know if I have anything hooked up to it now. All these old Nintendos are just stuff I'm trying to take three of them and make one.
Yeah, kind of like the CRT thing. Yeah, I've got I've got one or two like this size, and they're a lot of fun once you get them working and dialed in. That's cool.
But that one's got a good little picture. I love it. It's kind of small. I need to find a little place to set that one up. One other. This is. I don't know. To me, this one's not really all that special, but I have it. This one came from my father-in-law. It works, and these are obviously a little more common to run across these type.
Yes, I mean, but these are. I was actually talking to another guy this week. These are good because they have the tubes in them are the same that are in like a lot of arcade machines.
Oh. Really?
So that's what makes them like people really looking for them, because you can take the tube out of these if it's the right size, and and a lot of them, especially the sharp ones, will match the chassis on the.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you're interested in it, that one can go home with you.
We'll see. I mean, like, yeah. What size is that one? Actually.
We can roll it out.
Because there is a guy that's in, here, let me see the back of it, and that'll tell me. There's a guy that just dropped off a 25-inch, and that's funny. This is a 25-inch tube. It may be the same size that'll fit in his thing. You may be able to save, guys. It's some kind of arcade machine, a Neo Geo machine he was putting together, and his tube was all messed up.
If it can serve somebody else, it'll make my wife happy. So.
Well, awesome, yeah. All right, wow, score.
I know which ones are my keepers, and primarily the ones that are working.
The working ones, yeah. And then let me take the other ones.
This one works as far as I know.
Excellent. Well, cool.
Last I hooked it up, it was working.
Well, awesome. I'll check it out. Oh, nice.
So
I actually have one of these, a Trinitron, just like this. That's awesome.
I messaged you about this one because I couldn't get the picture, but now the picture works on this one. Now I think it looks pretty good.
Okay.
Compared to
awesome.
where it had been. But I love that little TV.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is really cool. This has got some stuff I've never heard of, the Econo Quick feature, whatever that one is. I was able to get a like a 17-inch 19. It was from 1972 run. It was like a KV-1936RH. It looks a lot like, it's got the big chunky knobs. Those look great though.
So this is the first one that I actually got my hands on for like an old CRT. When I decided I wanted to find one, it was about 10 years ago, and I was clearly mistaken because I thought, oh, I'll find one at any yard sale, any thrift shop, any whatever. There's just going to be there. And I went out looking and could not find, as you might expect, they just weren't out there. I thought they would be everywhere. And so I put a friend who worked at Crutchfield on the hunt. They have a recycling program.
Okay.
And somebody dropped this off one day. But it took like 6 months before he found me one. And so he brought me this one. And then later, this one came out of the same recycling program.
Oh my goodness, that's incredible. I mean, this one looks like it was just like never
But they were years
moved.
They were years apart in terms of finding them.
Like this one's in fantastic shape. Both of them are in really good, but this one's super clean looking. Love it. And then you got the big one over here.
Yeah,
like the 90s.
That was the one that replaced
the other
the
catch
Sharp.
fire.
So once the Sharp replaced the Trinitron that caught fire, then this replaced the Sharp. So this came from Broadway. It was pretty inexpensive, but I loved it because kind of for what I want to do in this corner where we'll communally play games.
Yeah.
It was nice to have just the biggest screen that we can fit in that spot.
You got the Lego CRT too.
That one's fun.
So obviously you like Legos also.
Oh yeah. Got it.
Awesome.
So these are all the sets I remember having as a kid.
Yeah.
One of them I held on to my entire life. The rest of them had to be repurchased.
That's like
But
getting
that's a good
big
representation
hoppy
of the
there.
80s Lego.
Oh, they're in the Lego Nintendo. Nice. Well, I want to say a huge thank you to Jeff. I mean, it was unbelievably hospitable of him to allow me to come over and check out his collection and all his CRTs, and then to give me 3 free CRTs. That's pretty awesome. I do have some more footage of me and Jeff hanging out, and I will put that at the end of this video. So if you want to keep watching, you can watch a little bit bonus footage. We're going to look at some closer things in his collection. But before we, do all that, I want to get into these CRTs that we got. I've got these 2 TVs back here in my shop, and they do not work. But that doesn't mean we aren't going to try our best to save them. I went ahead and opened this 1936RH, which is the one we're going to start on today, and checked out the insides, and I'll show you some stuff that I found here in a minute. But before I do that, I do want to let everybody know that the TV definitely did not work. And I opened it up and inspected things, and the circuit board was in dire need of servicing. There was a lot of capacitors that were just straight bad, and those were pretty important capacitors that when those go bad, the TV won't turn on. Now this is the circuit board from that old 20-inch CRT, and it was in quite a bad condition and mess, just because of age and parts failing. I had to remove all these capacitors. They had all gone bad and were obviously failed, and I replaced all those. I also reflowed solder and cleaned up this entire board. If we look under here, you can see how our solder points are really nice and clean, and it's just going to need to be reassembled and tested now. Before I even test it, I'm going to run a tube analysis here. And normally I would have done this even before working on the board, but since Jeff did tell me that this one was working, we're going to just assume that it wasn't a tube short that went wrong. I don't believe it was. That board was in such bad shape that it needed 36 new capacitors, and it wouldn't have worked with that board, really. So anyway, let's see what the analysis says. I've got my adapter connected here, and even though this is orange, it's red, green, blue, obviously. And then over here are the G1, G2, H1, H2, and I got that pinout from the back of the neck board. And so that's how I got that. I started with the green, which is the top one, and then I went from there and pinned everything out. So we'll connect this thing to the BK467, and we're just going to get an analysis of our tube life here, and let's see what happens. I have everything connected and powered on and set up to run the test here, just to see the glowing filament right in there. You see it? So we do have power going in there. Let's run the test and see what kind of emissions we have on this tube. Okay, wow. So check it out. This has, this is very good emissions. The green is a little bit lower than the blue and the red, but they're way up there in the good. So there was not a lot of usage or anything on this tube. It's got plenty of life left in it, and it doesn't need any kind of servicing for that tube. So that's a great sign. All right, this is the C board, and it's been known to be called the picture board or the neck board. And what we really want to be mindful of on this one is our solder integrity. So it looks like at some point someone came in here and reflowed solder on this connection point, which would make sense. And then the actual socket for the CRT, and maybe even over here at the focus, the static convergence adjustment potentiometer right there. And that is because those are high heat areas, and that solder will break down. And then you have the stress on these connections where the cable will go from the deflection board into here and send the signal. And then as that cable is moved over time, or if you're checking out the TV and disassembling it, you can easily cause a cold solder joint to just crack right there. We're going to replace these two capacitors right here. So I'm going to do that. I'll go in and I'll reflow all the solder on this board. All right, check this out. I'm actually in the middle of servicing this C board, and I wanted to show you a good example of what I'm really trying to attack here. Check out this solder joint right here. So it's a little difficult to see on camera, but there's a difference in, let's see, see right my iron right over here. So there's like a ring around here that's developing that I just heated up and actually cut through a little bit. That kind of stuff develops all over the board. You'll see little rings, and that's just the solder breaking down over time And once it finally breaks through on one of those parts, it can open the circuit there, and then the TV will really develop problems. So this is the same thing I had to do to the other board. I'm going to reflow every single point here with solder. Now I have everything reassembled here, that neck board. Good and installed right there. I've triple checked all the cabling. Everything is good. We're going to go ahead and just run straight RF for this. And I know it looks a little confusing here, but I've got coaxial to BNC to RCA because that's just going to give me a good hold there. And over here we're using RF coming out of the North American Nintendo 64, out of the little RF box right there on channel 4. So let's just crank this sucker on and see. Whoa, now powered on and powered off. I don't know, maybe it won't work. Interesting, let's see. Well, alright, so I just plugged it in a different spot. I'm not sure if it was just not getting enough power. And it just came right on here. We've obviously got some horizontal static convergence problems right there, but it's a pretty clear screen. Let's see if I can fix that. I should just be able to turn that white potentiometer right there and adjust that. Of course, I forgot to put the safety piece back on there, so I'm going to do that, and let me see if I can clear up this static convergence. Okay, so I'm going to spin that potentiometer now that I have the safety case on it, and I'm going to turn it, and then I'm going to hold the camera up here at the screen for you so you can see me. Like, here I am turning it, and let's turn it, let's see which. Okay, so I'm going to start turning it. This is clockwise. And you see how it's converging that beam? There we go. That's pretty good. I'll pull up the monoscope pattern later on if we can get that fed in here and get a better test signal. But wow, look at that. Awesome. Let's see what happens here if I press start. And a game comes up or not. Oh, there you go. It's a Mario. Wow, that's loud. Holy moly. Hello. Turned all the way up. All the way up. Cool. All right, look at that. Mario's looking great. RF Mario. 64. So, I don't think this is exactly the perfect console to put on here, but it's pretty easy for me to test RF from it. Awesome. Let's see what happens. Okay, power's off. Power's right on. You get the number 4 for channel 4. Stays there, okay. Oh, and then it scrolls off. Well, that's kind of cool. Let's see what happens. Channel 3. Channel 4. Oh, and then it scrolls off. I like the way that does that. So that's cool. We got mono audio here. We do have what looks to be picture settings here. But this thing's working great. I can't believe it. All those capacitors and fresh solder. Looks like it's all like... I don't see anything wrong with it. I'm gonna let it run for a while and we'll see how it works in an hour or so. Okay, I don't have the actual service manual for this TV, but on the inside of the shell casing here, we have a guide that points us to the points to adjust some things, some also test points, and I will tell you the only ones we really would be concerned with are some of these over in the middle of the main board, and those are for a limited geometry stuff right in there. And then over here we have color, which is all coming from our what looks to be our neck board right there. So there's a nice blowout guide to tell you how to remove it right down in there too, looks like. All right, it's tuned up. I'm going to go through some flaws here because they show up really well on this screen. There's still a bit of a hook up here in this corner, just a little bit. But due to the very limited amount of adjustments you're able to do with this CRT, you're really stuck with a limited calibration set. But aside from that, it's looking very nice. This is an RF only television, so I'm using the little adapter here from Mr. Add-ons. That allows me to go from RF, or get RF and convert and send in a composite video signal. It says has to be NTSC, but works good. And it's easy to set up for a test, as opposed to other ways to get a composite video signal into this TV. But this one, I mean, it's really got a great nostalgic feel and look to it, and it's working perfectly. It's been running for a long time. I've been power testing it on and off, and spent a couple hours using it, and it's working great. So I think it's pretty good. I'll just clean it up and add it to our collection. But these are the old capacitors, and you don't need even tools to see that a lot of these are really bad. Look at that, it's swelled up underneath itself, and then it shot a bunch of electrolytic fluid out the side, right out of the positive lead. And look at that, just got baked into the board and into that cap leg over time. Let's see if we can find an, oh yeah, look at this. This is a good, this one's got a nice good amount of cheese on there. Check that out. Now that one would be a little bit harder to see because it was pressed against the board fully, although it is expanded up on that positive lead again. But even smaller ones were doing that. Here's another one. This is, let's see what this one is. And this is an Elna. We got Elna caps. What was the other one? This is like Chemicon caps and Elnas. There were some others in here, but after 40 years, everybody needs a little love and rehabilitation. All right, so our Sony KV-1936RH is definitely done. And it's a masterpiece, honestly. Thank you, Jeff. So awesome. As far as this one goes, this is the next project, and it's the 2093R. And it's the one that Jeff said caught on fire last time he power tested it. I'm going to save that for a future video because let's face it, this one has already gone long enough. We're going to be pushing over 30 minutes. And I really appreciate you guys hanging out and checking out these awesome TVs and going on this journey with me. As promised, I'm going to include extra footage of Jeff and I hanging out looking at a lot of his cool Nintendo collection. If you do have any comments, please leave them below, or questions. And if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor and hit the like button. And guys, I'll see you next time with some more retro content.
Which I have all here, all 30 of them. Some of them are more rare. Actually, you can see what would be the difference. So, Super Mario Brothers here. So there's a variant right here. If you see the clip, it means on the back there's 3 screws. That's considered a 3-screw version.
Right. Yeah, I've heard of that.
But the earliest versions had 5.
Okay.
And no clip. And so I just thought it'd be cool as I got all the black box See if I could get
So,
5 screen
yeah, since there's
versions.
no clip
Yeah.
right there, and you get the clean.
But in this case, some of the 5 screws are more rare.
Mm-hmm.
But with some of these, actually, the 3 screws would be more rare. But I just thought it'd be cool to have
It's pretty sweet setup there with the whole Nintendo collection.
Yeah, and then these are all like the Marios and the Zeldas. And then all the Mega Mans, which are fun. Got both DuckTales, both Rescue Rangers.
You got some original powers here.
Yeah,
right?
So that's the very first issue.
Right.
Of the first 2 years.
Okay, let's look
those
good.
are the ones on display. But like,
oh yeah,
managed to pick up I actually did have this. It was one thing that my mom was always like, got us magazine subscriptions. For,
so this
like,
was
everything.
stuff. This is stuff from like you were growing up, right? Or some of it, or what?
I had it, got rid of it, and then repurchased it at a much higher price.
Yeah, right. This is a classic story, right?
Yeah. So basically, like first 2 years of Nintendo Power, which I did have originally, but yeah, these are somebody else's collection. But I just think they're cool. There's a few of them. We were just talking yesterday. We really like that Super Mario Brothers 3, the DuckTales cover. And just
I mean, yeah,
cool
those are
looking
like
covers.
classic, timeless. All of those really look awesome. Excellent. Very cool stuff, man. Very cool setup here.
Here's one more for you. So this is, I'll show you like 2 more things. So this would be the test market set. So this is a complete in box test market, meaning that the very first 100,000 Nintendos that were sold in the United States were sold in New York City at Christmas time. And it was basically essentially a consignment deal where Nintendo said they would buy back anything that didn't get sold. But the serial number on this basically places it's like 48,000 or something of the 100,000.
So this was the original like Nintendo ones that came
so
here, the very first.
Yeah, the very first
Wow.
Nintendo that you could purchase was this.
Awesome. And
It's distinguished from later versions, which had a large word "deluxe" right here.
okay.
So the test markets didn't have the word "deluxe" there.
Yep. That's
Also
awesome.
curious on the side. Where is it? Sorry, on the back. If you look at like, and this is going to be hard to get on film, but if you look at some of the images here, like those controllers aren't even like the controllers we have. The buttons are like rounded on the top.
Oh yeah, I can see
As
that.
opposed to
There's
being
not.
convex.
Yeah. Right on that.
Or concave. I guess they are convex.
Yeah. I can see that on there.
Kind of interesting stuff.
Yeah, no, that's great. I've never even seen this. Look at that great Sony they have there in the picture. They're having fun on the Sony. Now, were these like ones that you had to reacquire
I got
in your
a
later
good deal
life?
on eBay in the middle of the night on this one. They priced it more like this, and so it was a good little score for me for that Rob and all the stack up components, because these little blocks, they're kind of like foamish. They're very hard to get.
Yeah. Like, I've never even seen this. Like, I've never seen them that they're not like in 100. Just the robot, basically, with barely anything attached to them, but feel like.
Yeah. Just one curious difference: if if the room was too bright, there was sunglasses that could be applied to the Rob there, and then otherwise, it was sort of like an accessory. Like if your room was too bright, because the Rob senses the flash on the TV for instructions. And so,
See, because you have to use a CRT with these too, really.
Yeah, got to use the CRT. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So one with glasses, one without. So this one's distinguished. The box is distinguished by the TM after Nintendo Entertainment System, as opposed to later it became an R.
Okay.
So that indicates first print. Just like we talked about before. there's one in here, but this would also be like a 5-screw
Right.
version here. And then there's some like various ways you can distinguish between the manuals and the maps and such. But that's a first print of The Legend of Zelda.
Awesome.